Welcome back, everybody, to me being annoyed about the Wheel of Time, and today I'll be annoyed about the next couple chapters of Crossroads of Twilight. By which I mean chapters 17, I guess, up to 23. Yes, I peeped ahead. I just managed to avoid the first rant chapter of the entire book, which I kind of dread for tomorrow, but we'll find out tomorrow what that will be about. Until then, let's glory in all-girl action with all the disadvantages because it's written by a dude. So let's do that, because I'm a dude and I'm qualified to talk about that, am I not? Well, cheers. Alright, so what do we get? We get Egwene magic stuff, we get a bit more Elida, Alviar, and whatever stuff, and we get everyone's favorite Cadsuane. Well, sort of, and that's all we get. So, what happens? We find out about how the world reacts to whatever went down in, we know what went down because we read the other book before, right? Haven't we? So yeah, when they find out once their people come back from where Shadar Logoth was, and how they, do all these kind of things. So let's look at all of that in order. Let's find out what's good, what's bad, and what's fucking annoying. Because yes, of course, there's annoying bits and pieces here. Let's go with all of that. So yeah. We come back to that whole thing. We learn a lot of stuff that's going on. For whatever reason, Egwene has found out how to make Gwendiar. We remember Gwendiar is that super magic material that is apparently harder than rock and all these other wonderful things, and Egwene has found out how to do it. And now the Aes Sedai are making it to sell it to finance their army. While they're all talking about like whether it makes sense to, talk to Elida or not, whatnot, we get like a bit of that, and just like general, a bit of more stuff about Nicola, whatever her second name is, and what's her friend, Arena? Yeah, Arena. I think that's her name, or something like very much like that. I will not make any Into the Arena jokes here. I promise. Anyway, go listen to Omen. That's way better. and yeah. My point, however, was that we keep building her up, Nicola, as this like super eager novice that tries to become, move faster than her elders tell her to be. And there's an interesting thing here, like, there might be something with that plot line later on. I hope that there will be something. I assume what will happen is that Nicola will do something that she's not supposed to do, and that will get her killed. And that's where we learn about, like, main character special dispensations and shit. Because when we look at what, Egwene and Elaine and all the other Aes Sedai do all the fucking time, like our main characters, Nynaeve, they do all this crap all the time. They ignore what they're told. They jump ahead. They try out all this stuff, Egwene, even when the wise ones teach her, and they get away with it. Why do they get away with it? Well, because they're main characters. There's no other fucking reason for it. Because, and now we build up this other one was like, oh, we have to be careful. She might be super fucking powerful and have all these wonderful things. And she's eager to actually jump ahead. And she has people like Egwene and Elaine and Nynaeve as examples that she's seen before. So she wants to do the same thing, which is absolutely fucking understandable. But since this is, a book that tells us that women need to be careful and put in their place, and we just grudgingly accept that Elaine, Egwene, and Nynaeve exist, this one will get fucked up. I can just see it. And it's like, it would be so nice if any of the characters would show any awareness of that, if Egwene would understand why that is the case. It's like, yeah, you know what? I've jumped ahead. I've ignored all kinds of stuff. I've broken all kinds of rules because I felt I could be faster. I had to be faster because, Tarman Gaiden is coming and, well, the end of the world is coming, all this stuff. And I had to be faster and I had to break rules and all of that. So I at least understand why Nicola wants to do the same thing. But there's no fucking self-reflection with these characters. And that's like one of these annoying things because, like, that kind of self-reflection would be normal, at least like the realization that they're doing the same thing. It's like, well, I did it, it was wrong, it worked for me, but maybe don't do this or whatever. But instead we have this like dumb plot line of those two trying to blackmail people into loyal, showing them more stuff to get ahead and so forth, and making them evil. And that's I feel the darkest problem, or the biggest problem with a lot of these characters. Robert Jordan builds up all kinds of rules and guidelines, mostly rules and stuff, of why things have to be the way they have to be in these worlds. And then his favorite characters just go and break all of those rules, and the argument, like the reason why they get away with it, is just like because it's them doing it. And I don't know. I just don't like it. It's because like underneath there is always that deeper philosophy, right? That you can get away with all of these things. You can, if like you as the individual, you know better. You can just go and ignore the rules because you understand the necessity and so forth, which is not how societies work. Never. And yeah, but that's one of those things that I just like don't like, because it's like so far the whole Nicola Treehill is her name, which sounds very like a hobbit if you ask me. Anyway, so the whole Nicola plot line is only there to prove that Egwene and Elaine and Nynaeve can do shit that other people are not allowed to get away with, and that's all of it. And I'm like, look, I know they are main characters and they get like all these wonderful bonuses for being main characters, but look, unless there's something really interesting going to happen with that character in the future, which I doubt at this point, it feels fucked up, because it just reinforces that like if you're special you can do whatever the fuck you want kind of philosophy, which I despise personally. So yeah, there we have that. I mean, I would have preferred some form of like some scene or whatever when we learn how Egwene comes up with the idea of how to make Gwendiar. That would have been really cool if we've had like any kind of hint, not just like retrofitted it into. It's like, oh, by the way, we found out how to do that. It would have been nice to have like some scene, because it's so important that she figures out most of it herself and didn't just like get taught by Moghedien. It would have been cool writing wise, because we spent so much time on like nonsense and just filler and like clothes and stuff, which, if you want to put all of that stuff in, that's fine. But like, why not spend like 2 paragraphs that you spent on like describing how all these women tend to reset to thinking about like how scantily dressed they can get away with in like the dream world. Why not spend a couple of those paragraphs and change them into a scene where we learn how Egwene comes up with the idea of how to make Gwendiar? I don't need like a 5-page process description or anything like that, but it would have been cool if we like some event that gives her like the idea or something, like, bam, I guess I've learned something. That would have been so cool, but we don't get that. We just like retrofitted it in because Robert Jordan figures out like, oh shit, someone needs to pay that army, I'd better pull something out of my arse, which he does, and that's Gwendiar. Apparently he pulls Gwendiar out of his arse, which sounds painful if you ask me. Well, that's not the biggest thing. We then get like a bit of a hint there that Kalima, who we know is Arangar, who we know is that other Forsaken that got killed at the Eye of the World. That dude who is now masquerading as a woman, but still using dick magic, because you can, even if you're trans, you're still a man underneath, and a predator to boot. We get more of this. Like, I know I've been pissed off about it before, but we see more of it happening this time around. One of them is that it's fairly clear and hinted at that, like, because he's the only one, they are the only one. Kalima is the only one who can, I guess that's like the easiest way to deal with this. Kalima is the only one who can soothe Egwene's headaches. And we have a scene where she suddenly gets a headache when she dismisses Kalima, and it's fairly like obvious that Kalima uses dick magic to make Egwene's head hurt. Which, yeah, all right. So we lean further into this like predatorial image of the trans woman that is in there. Now once again, although this is 2003, so I guess I can ask for a little more awareness, although, still like in large parts of of the world outside of the internet and all of that, a serious discussion of trans issues had not yet arisen in 2003. So yeah, but still, Bobby J leans in pretty fucking hard into that like idea of the male predator masquerading as a woman and so forth. It's not the first, it's probably not the last one that did it, but it's still fucked up, and I don't know. Unnecessary also, I think. All right, so here we come to the next big thing. While Egwene is sitting there having a headache and reading stuff that is more or less interesting about all kinds of things, the news come that the researcher team comes back from the from Shadar Logoth. They have like their big meeting, which is once again like a bit weird, but apparently like Parliament really sucks for Robert Jordan. Parliament really sucks. Woman Parliament sucks even more apparently. But what happens, they talk about is like, yeah, someone blew away all of Shadar Logoth, and they used both dick and pussy magic. We have to, that's what we found. So Egwene, brilliant Egwene, who knows that and has already thought about like how pissed off she is that Nynaeve went off with Rand. Her first idea is like, those have to be the Forsaken that took away one of the evilest places in the entire land with their new magic weapon. And I'm like, why the fuck do you think that? Why is that your first and only idea? It just feels so super fucking contrived. You know that a very, very powerful female caster and a very powerful male channeler have gone off somewhere together and are not talking to anyone else. And suddenly a place that both of those people have been before and have had a terrible time at gets blown out of the place. And your first and only idea is, those have to be the evil dudes. The evil dudes really like taking out like evil places. That's exactly what they do all the time. And it just feels so stupid. So willfully stupid. And I don't, that just doesn't vibe with the idea of A, that person. B, you're supposed to be smart. You're in charge of in the entire like group of women, of like hundreds of people, and look, it's like this. And we need this to get to the next big thing, which is that they decide to maybe approach the Black Tower to talk to men who can channel, because they need they need dick magic help. Of course they do. And I can understand that we need that motivation of like bringing home the idea, or like, of how much of a threat the driving home the threat of the Forsaken. I can understand that idea in Bobby J's brain. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But if you want to do that, then add some bit of information that makes it appear more likely that this is Forsaken and not Rand and Nynaeve, of which you know that they are off on a secret mission somewhere. That's just like shitty writing is what it is at the end of the day. It's like, why not just add some little detail? Look, there have been, like, all of the Forsaken were at that place, and we're shooting around like magic all the time and all kinds of stuff. It would have been so easy to give those Aes Sedai some bit of thing they found there in that battlefield that really identifies or makes clear that Forsaken were at least at the place, at the spot. It would have been fucking easy, but we don't do that. We just drop the information. Lots of magic, both dick magic and pussy magic. So, Forsaken. So, we need to talk to men because only men can save us. It's just like, I don't even know what to say at this point about this logic, because this is like the other thing, right? We have both sides of the White Tower, and we'll see about this like in the next couple of, and that's sort of the thing that I want to talk about here, right? So the rebel Aes Sedai say yes. So to fight the Forsaken, we need to make bigger circles. Because you can link to circles to have more power, but we need to make bigger circles than 13. And if we want to do that, we need men to help us with that. Possibly even, we need men to help us, because women alone can't do that kind of thing. So we need to approach them and ask them for help. And then you have like the whole like, oh, but they'll go mad and they're all evil. We need to talk about that in a second as well, but whatever. And later on, we have the same situation in a different chapter when two of the Red Aja people are talking about it in the White Tower. And they're like, so we need to leash all those, like make them warders, all of those Ashaman. We need to bond them as Red Sisters because we're like super good with like dealing with men that can channel and whatnot, to make sure they can't do any damage. And see what's... The interesting thing is here, the good Aes Sedai, which is Egwene and gang, they understand that they need help from men. So they will approach them with a certain level of humility, which I'm sure will be fucked up again, and then, we know where this is going. But the good girls understand that they need male help, whereas the bad girls think that they can control men, and we all know where that will be going, right? And this is what I fucking hate about these books. Like, you can argue that this is basically the idea that men and women need to work together, to achieve great things. Because, whatever. I don't think I subscribe to that policy, but, having different viewpoints, which are, kind of guided by your agenda and whatnot, are a good idea. So, yeah, sure. But the way it is presented is always like, women can't do this unless they have a dude who will help them with it, because otherwise it'll just fail. And that's already something that I hate to have, like, in a book, because it basically shows that, like, you need men. Women can only achieve good things when they're led by men. And then you have the bad girls that are like evil and everything, or not evil, but bad and misguided, and that's because they think they can control men. And that's like the underlying message of this part. And I'm like, dude, this is the 2000s, for fuck's sake. You should know better at this point. So yeah. Another thing that we see here is the lack of subtlety in Robert Jordan when he tries to foreshadow stuff. So we know that Delanda, I think that's her name, nominally the person for whom Kalima is working, is Black Aja, of course. I mean, she works with other Black Aja, or, well, in this case, Forsaken. And in the hall, when they have like all their like discussion about like talking to the Black Tower, talking to the Ashaman and everything, there is two women that are weeping and are really shocked, not just pissed off. And those two are Shiriam, keeper of the stalls and whatnot, and what's her name? Lalanda. So now we know that Shiriam is Black Aja. That's I don't think it was revealed before, but I'll just call it now. Shiriam's also Black Aja. So now we mirror Elida and Egwene, because both of them have Black Aja keepers that are, doing all these things. Just saying. I'm sure there will be like an official open reveal later on, and then I'll just like say, yeah, I called it, didn't I? But yeah, not exactly subtle for Robert Jordan, but, I take what you can get in these books, I feel. What else happens? Yeah, Anaya, one of the other Blue Aja girl ladies, gets murdered with dick magic. And we know that she gets murdered with dick magic, so now Egwene suspects at least that someone who can channel is in her camp. Now, we obviously know that this was Kalima, for certain reasons, which one of them is that she arrives late to the tent after, those two are murdered. We'll see where this will be leading. I assume at some point they'll actually find out that Kalima is really Arangar and is Forsaken, but I guess it'll take a while because everything takes a long time at this point. So yeah, was there more interesting stuff? Well, they jump around in Telayan Riyadh, and even there, for whatever reason, we get more of the willful not talking about stuff, right? It's like she talks to Avienda, Egwene talks to Avienda, and they even mention the idea of like that whole big, powerful thing. And we know that Avienda and Elaine both know that Rand was involved in that thing. And still, Egwene and Avienda don't talk about it. It's like, it's the biggest magical fucking explosion in centuries, in millennia. And two people who can cast magic meet for the first time, well, it's the dream world, but still meet for the first time and talk. And they're like, and all they do is like hint at it for once and then don't talk about it anymore. It's like, how contrived is that bullshit at this point? It's like, that's just bad writing for someone who's been writing successful novels for like 20 years at this point. It's like, why the fuck can't you be a bit more consistent? What's your fucking editor do? Well, all right, you dedicated the novel to her because she's your wife. I assume criticism of the editor did not go that deep in this book. Just saying, it's like, See, I mean, I don't know. It's just like, it feels stupid to not put these bits and pieces in when it would be so easy to do so. And that's like the big thing that annoys me so much about these chapters right now. It's like, I know what you're trying to do. I know where you're pushing this. I don't like the overall message that, yes, obviously men need to help because women can't do anything on their own. But yeah, there we are. And we'll see where this will be going in the future. So, let's look at what else we got. Alviarin comes back. Elida is putting her down because apparently, all the blackmail that Alviarin has over her doesn't really work anymore. Alviarin goes panicky, calls up Messana. Messana tells her, what the fuck, keep going. And then our Uber Murdroll shows up. We get another one of those, it looks like a serpent descriptions that we have used in every single book so far. Like, seriously, this is book 10. You don't need to describe the fucking Murdroll again. We know that their eyeless face is scary, and we know that they have the armor of overlapping plates that is also sinuous when they walk, almost like a serpent. I know it at this fucking book. Anyway, I'm getting excited again. I should not do that. Let's continue. So yeah, that guy shows up, gets pissed off with Messana and takes Messana away. Yes, we get either what's her name, Alviarin is insane, or maybe Shaidar Haram, which once again is, why do all those evil people have such like Semitic sounding names, such Islamic sounding names? I don't know. Sounds kind of suspicious to me. Just saying. So yeah. Anyway, either that guy is really a direct casting or whatever of the Dark One, or she's just like panicking. We don't know. She feels that she's like specially being selected or specialed out by the Dark One, and then we're done with that. And then, yes, we have the meeting between those Red Aja people that are talking about, yes, we need to actually bond all those Ashaman, because that's the only thing we can do. Now, what else is interesting there? Well, actually, not that much, really. Let's move to the Cadswain thing. All right, so Cadswain is, sitting around talking about all kinds of stuff that's going on in Tyr and whatnot. They are in Tyr with Rand, and what they're doing there is unclear for now, but I guess we'll find out sooner or later. But let's look at the interesting bits. The real interesting bit here is the Ashaman bond thing. The Ashaman bond thing is interesting. So we have a scene with Ashaman, what's his name, Narishma? Probably Narishma? One of those. Ashaman is training with Lan, and we have Cadswain talking to another Aes Sedai about the whole thing, the one that bonded that Narishma dude. And what we obviously learn through that is that the idea of Aes Sedai boss, water, not boss, has to do what Aes Sedai wants to, and so forth, is slowly shifting with those who bonded Ashaman, because Ashaman are powerful, possibly even more powerful than the Aes Sedai, as we obviously learned, because men are always more powerful. Dick magic's always stronger than pussy magic. We've learned that before, right? So apparently, that bond is shifting, and maybe the Aes Sedai is no longer fully in control. Maybe it'll end up with the Ashaman being in control. I mean, could that possibly be the case? And what does that tell us about that whole situation that we already talked about, right? Women have to submit to men. They have to ask for help, because alone they can't actually do those things. And even though they think they might have control over the men at the beginning, when they bond them as warders or whatever, it will always end up with men in charge, which is the natural order of things. Right? It fucking pisses me off. It really fucking pisses me off that you build up that whole illusion of strong women and whatnot just to knock it down at every single fucking point that you get. And it just is, well, it's so, it feels vindictive almost. It really almost feels vindictive. It's like, I'll just build up a lot of strong women just to take them down, to either have them like spanked and birched and whipped and whatnot. Because make no mistake, there was a lot of talking about whipping and spanking all this time round. Again, I'm just like no longer talking about it because it happens all the time. But it feels vindictive, and that's sort of the issue that I have here. Is like I'm not going to go into the but he said that he had built all those strong women after his wife. It's like that. I'm not going to do like author psychology here, but I'm just saying that it feels vindictive that every strong woman sooner or later has to submit to a man and will also be humiliated in writing. It just feels wrong. It rubs me the wrong way, and I don't think it's necessary. Well, all right, so that's that bit there. And then we learn that obviously big things are coming. Rand is thinking about what to do with the Shan-Chan, because maybe the Shan-Chan cannot be really defeated that easily. Also, a lot of warders are coming to their Aes Sedai from Cairhien by traveling, so we know there will be Ashaman with them. My guess is they'll come in with Logain and Tovain and whatever the other Aes Sedai, probably another one with an A in her name, because there's always A's in those Aes Sedai names. Probably with those, and then they'll look, I don't know what they'll do, but that's all for us to find out tomorrow in the last bit of this book. So, let's talk quickly about like where we are right now. After spending an inordinate amount of time talking about Elaine's pregnancy and how everyone is thinking about Elaine's pregnancy, we have reached the point where women have started, Aes Sedai have started to accept the fact that they need to do something with men, and things are slowly coming to a head. Alright, I kind of forgot to talk about the Ashaman, a hatred for Ashaman kind of thing, and I feel it's one of those bits that never get explained really well. There's like two of those ideas. One of them is like that they're always talking about the light, their rebirth and salvation in the light, which like salvation is very much a theological term. And then there's a situation where Alviarin is like, oh, I should pray to the Dark One, but he doesn't answer prayers. Like, praying you can only do if there's a god. So if the notion of praying exists in that world, what's that fucking creator doing? Why isn't there like any form of actual religion or something like that? Because we have never seen anything like it, not even with those stupid children of the light. And the idea of not talking about a religion leads to all kinds of weird things in my brain where I'm like, I guess I see where this is going, and I don't like it. Same with the idea that, yes, Ashaman go mad because they use dick magic, and you use too much dick magic on your own. Be careful of that. It will drive you insane. So don't use your dick magic on your own. It's basically a don't wank kind of thing. No, it's not. It goes in a completely different direction, but you know what I mean. Point is, that I can understand, but suddenly we're like, anything they do, because they could go mad at some point, whenever they use their magic before that, it will also be evil. So we can't even, talk with the men that are channeling now, even though they might be, totally sane so far, because they're using the cursed side of it. And yeah, but no. Because you have never set that up, Bobby J. You have not set that up. It's all about the madness that suddenly happens, and then when they're still casting magic, when they're like, using that magic when they're insane, it will totally, destroy shit. I get that part. But why is everything they do before that also tainted? Why do people that actually study that crap? Why do the Aes Sedai that have spent the last 3,000 years studying that shit? Why do they suddenly believe that all the stuff they do with their magic before is also evil? And why do we suddenly conflate evil and, mental health? That sounds kind of toxic to me. I'm just saying. And, yeah. So, yeah, that's another one of those, like, really messed up things. But I don't want to, put too much weight on it, because at least it's clear that it's wrong, because all those Ashaman are obviously good. We've not all of them, but we've learned that at least. So yeah, plenty of messed up shit going down, and also just like really bad writing in this part. Let's see if we can pull it out of the ditch that it seems to be heading towards and make this a decent book at the end of the day. I'll talk to you all about it tomorrow. And until then, cheers.